Welcome to the Explainer. Every business has a heartbeat, a rhythm to how it operates. Today, we're going to learn how to listen to that heartbeat. We're diving into a powerful tool called inventory turnover, a single number that tells a truly fascinating story about a company's health.
So think about it. A company might have these massive warehouses, just packed with awesome products. But if that stuff is just sitting there, well, that's not exactly a good sign, right? How can we get past the marketing and see how fast things are actually flying off the shelves versus just gathering dust? That's the big question we're going to answer today.
So here's our game plan. First, we'll talk about what efficiency really means for a business. Then, we're going to put on our detective hats and learn exactly where to find the clues in a company's financial reports. After that, we'll jump into the formula itself, see what the result tells us, and, this is super important, we'll talk about why this number is just a starting point, not the final word.
Okay, let's start here. I want you to think about financial ratios like the tools a doctor uses. A stethoscope, a blood pressure cuff. They let the doctor check your vital signs. Well, ratios do the same thing for a company. And today, the vital sign we're checking is efficiency.
Merriam-Webster puts it this way: efficiency is all about effective operation compared to its cost. So what does that mean in plain English? It's about how well a company uses its stuff, its inventory, its money, its time, to actually make sales. A business doesn't make money from products sitting in a warehouse. It makes money when they're sold. And this, right here, is our go-to tool for the job. The inventory turnover ratio gives us a hard number. It tells us exactly how many times a company sold through its entire stock of stuff and had to replace it all within a certain period, which is usually a year. It's a direct look at how well management is handling their inventory. All right, so before we can start calculating, we need the raw data. And to get that, we've got to get comfortable with a couple of key financial statements. Think of it like a doctor learning to read a patient's chart before they can make any kind of diagnosis.
And this is the most important concept to get. We need data from two totally different kinds of reports. The income statement, think of that as a video. It shows you the action over a whole year, all the sales coming in, all the expenses going out. But the balance sheet, that's a photo. It's a snapshot, just freezing a single moment in time to show you exactly what a company owns and what it owes on one specific day. So knowing where to look is half the battle. The first number we need, cost of sales, that's in the video, the income statement. The second number, inventory, that's in the photo, the balance sheet. And we'll actually need two photos, one from the very beginning of the year and one from the very end.
Okay, theory's done. Now for the fun part. Let's get our hands dirty and actually run the numbers. Don't worry, I'll walk you right through it. It's way simpler than it sounds. Here it is, our formula. It's the cost of sales divided by the average inventory. Now, a really important note here. We use cost of sales, not revenue. Why? Because inventory on the shelf is valued at what it cost the company to get it. So this way, we're comparing apples to apples, the cost of what was sold to the cost of what's still sitting there. And average inventory? Super simple. You just take the inventory value at the start, add the inventory value at the end, and divide the whole thing by 2. Okay, let's grab our first piece of the puzzle. We're looking at our video, the income statement for 2013. You'll see this line item called a few things, sometimes cost of goods sold or COGS. Here it's cost of revenue. See it? That's our number, $1,846,450. Next up, we need our two photos from the balance sheet. The snapshot from the end of 2012 is our starting point for 2013. That gives us an inventory of $542,000. Then we look at the snapshot from the end of 2013, and our ending inventory is $802,000. All right, time to put it all together. Step 1, we grab our cost of sales, that $1.8 million number. Step 2, we find our average inventory. Just add the start and end values, divide by 2, and we get $672,000. Now for the final move, step 3 is just to divide step 1 by step 2.
And there it is, 2.75. That's our inventory turnover ratio. That's the answer. We did all that work to get this one number. But what on earth does 2.75 actually tell us about this company?
Because honestly, calculating the number, that's just plugging things into a formula. The real magic, the real skill, is in the analysis. Let's translate this number, 2.75, into a story that actually makes sense. So what does it mean? It means this company sold out its entire stock of goods and had to completely restock about 2 3/4 times over the whole year. See?
Now it's not just a number, it gives you a real feel for the speed of their business cycle. Now, here's where it gets even more powerful. A single number is interesting, but the trend is everything. If you see this number getting higher every single year, that's almost always a great sign. It means sales are picking up speed, or maybe they're just getting smarter about how much they buy. But if that number is starting to drop, that can be a warning sign that sales are slowing down, or worse, that they've got stuff on the shelves that nobody wants anymore.
And this brings us to what might just be the most important part of this whole thing. We have this amazing tool now, but we have to remember it's just one tool in the toolbox. It's not the final verdict on a company. Context, my friends, is absolutely everything.
I love this quote from the source material because it just hits the nail on the head. The skill is called ratio analysis, not ratio calculation. Literally anyone with a calculator can do the second part. The real value, the thing that makes you a smart investor or business analyst, is understanding what the number is telling you, and just as important, what it isn't telling you.
So what are some of those blind spots? Well, for one, the ratio can't tell you why turnover is high. Is it because management is brilliant, or did they just get lucky with a hot product? It also tells you absolutely nothing about profit. You could be turning over inventory like crazy and losing money on every single sale. And finally, this one is critical. It is super, super specific to the industry you're looking at. This is the perfect example. You'd expect a grocery store that sells milk and bread to have a crazy high inventory turnover, right? Things fly off the shelf. But what about a car dealership? They sell really expensive things way more slowly, so their turnover is going to be naturally low. Comparing a grocery store's ratio to a car dealer's is completely meaningless. You can only really compare a company to its own history or to its direct competitors in the same game.
So what's the big takeaway here? You now have a brand new lens to look at any business. You can go past the headlines and calculate, and more importantly, analyze a core measure of how well a company is actually run. It's a fantastic first step into digging deeper and really understanding the guts of a business. So the only question left is, now that you can do this, what are you going to analyze next?